Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for this little live stream. I'm going to draw probably my favorite comic book character ever created, and that is our good friend here, Tintin. I've got a couple little models here. I've got my Snowy with his bone, and I'm trying to remember which one this is from, maybe the Black Island. But I'm blanking a little bit, so maybe you can help me in the chat where he carries the bone and he keeps digging it back up. I've got this little character which I bought in Sweden, of all places, on a trip 3 years ago from the Tintin store that they had there, and I love it. This one was a gift. So anyway, big fan of Tintin. And I've just got these set up here in front of me so I can look at them when I draw. Now, here you can see what I was working on in the past just 15 minutes or so. I wanted to try and come up with a cool composition, and this is what I got. I like that King Otakar's Scepter story a lot. I've read that one. I've read all of them, and over the years I've collected all of them, and they're back on the bookshelf behind me, including that unfinished book, Tintin and Alf Art, which I really wish had been something he could have completed before his death, but he did work right up until the end, making great stories for all of us. So anyway, I like this drawing. I was fiddling around with some other ideas, but I thought just a really simple drawing, Tintin just escaping some kind of explosion, you know. It's got Snowy under his arm there, and the thing I was trying to decide was how to draw it, really. And I could go the traditional route of just a line art, one of my inking brushes here from the Mega Pack, or I thought maybe I could do sort of a pencil and watercolor kind of a look. It's hard to decide. This is the problem when you have, you know, over 1,000 brushes to play with. Sometimes you wind up in this state of paralysis where you don't know what to choose. So I'll just look and see if anybody's here that I recognize from the chat, and just say hi to everybody. Hey, Valerie, nice to see you, and Giovanni, and Sherry, and Artistic Kitty. That's a good name. Thanks for hanging out and watching. Anyway, so I like this composition. I don't want to really change it. Now it's just kind of a question of how to draw it. My first instinct was to go with this inking tool called the Belgian Comics inker, just because, you know, I'm drawing a Belgian comics rock star. By the way, if you don't know about this feature here in Photoshop, smoothing, make sure you take advantage of that when you're doing line work, inking of any kind. It just helps you not be getting any bumpy line work if your hand isn't quite as steady as you'd like it to be, especially if you haven't warmed up. Like myself, all I've done today is this little sketch here, and been otherwise answering emails and doing other busy work. So I haven't been drawing that much today, but if you turn on something like smoothing, it just kind of helps to smooth things out. But this inker was actually designed to look like the kinds of marks you would see in Asterix, or, you know, those other traditional classics, those classics of French and Belgian comics, you know, the art of Peyo and people like that. Things, you know. But, you know, for something like this, it'd be fun to change it up, because, you know, Hergé would typically be working with something where the line weight was mostly fixed to one diameter. In this case, it gives me a chance to, like, do some stuff that has some heavier line here and there. So I think that's the way I'm going to go, and then just do some flat color. Maybe just keep it black and white, I don't know. But the sketch is rough and loose. That's intentional. It keeps me from having to sort of trace over lines that are there. I like to see what happens with the line when I draw it and make decisions that way, rather than do a really tight sketch for something like this. We'll just dive in here, get under that nose. And, whoops, I don't like the way that looks. I can change my mind. That's what I like about working digitally. I can change my mind. like that either. I really should have warmed up more. There we go. That feels pretty good. I like that shape. Another thing about Tintin that I've always loved is the surrounding cast. Really, I mean, Tintin himself as a character, if you think about it, he really isn't that interesting. I mean, you know, there's not much to him. He's kind of a blank canvas in a lot of ways. I don't know if that's the right way to describe him, but what I'm saying is it's the surrounding characters that bring all the personality to the stories, I think. Obviously Captain Haddock and the twin detectives who, you know, in French I think they're Dupont and Dupont. In English they're Thompson and Thompson. Yeah, these are the characters who really bring the fun and the funny to the stories. Tintin doesn't do much of that at all, and that's fine. He just makes way for all those other personalities, and it's so fun, especially to see the way he plays off of Haddock. You know, we all enjoy that. Anybody who's never read these books, by the way, highly recommend checking them out. Of course, they're dated. You know, I think they started in the 40s. Maybe even the first one, Tintin, in the Land of the Soviets, I think it's called. I think that one was late 30s even, something like that. So, yeah, of course they're dated. But, so, you know, take whatever you look at with those, you know, keep that in mind. There are, of course, in certain books, some pretty ugly stereotypes and things like that. But by and large, they're just wonderful. Great adventures. And Hergé was famous for, he's the author, he was famous for doing a fair bit of research for all of his books. And that's what makes so many of them just, it's so believable when you're seeing the characters hanging out in a new country. Oftentimes these countries don't exist, but they're based on countries that do exist. And it's really fun to feel transported to these places. And yeah. Anyway, I'll stop for a moment, see if anybody has any questions here. You love Thompson and Thompson. Yeah, for sure. As do I. They are wonderful. Very funny. Bungling buffoons, really. They're really kind of idiots. Only ever stumbling on solutions. Never. It's never through their own skill as detectives that they actually get to the bottom of things. It's always an accident. But, you know, that's what makes it fun. Okay, here we go. Now you can see I'm not being too precious with any of this, really. I'm just sort of, there's a loose quality to these lines that I like. You know, I feel like that's a little bit, I might have gone overboard with the curvature there. I should probably get that up a little higher. Whoops, like that. I don't know, I might change my mind here and go back, but we'll see. Go back to how it was, but I think that's a little better. Yep, a little more space there for that forehead. Yeah, it's just a way of drawing that I think is satisfying. Plus I don't have a million years to work on this, so. Also, this brush makes that easy, if you haven't tried it. Now, this is, again, that Belgian Comics brush in the ink box, in the Mega Pack. And, gosh, I always have trouble with shoes. So hard to get the shapes right. Ah! How about the rest of you out there? Anybody struggle with shoes? I find them pretty challenging sometimes. Just something about them. I know I'm not alone. I've heard other people complain about drawing shoes. They're just not that fun to draw. I guess once you really get it and know how to draw them, then it's kind of like something you want to draw all the time because you finally sort of cracked it. I see people out there drawing shoes so well, and you can tell that they're like really excited about being able to draw those shoes so well. Just try and put as many characters as they can in their books with shoes. Here's little Snowy. Actually, let's get that arm up. Gonna be reaching under there. Ooh, that doesn't look right. Come on, Kyle. Hold on a second. Get this a little closer. Does he ever have a collar? Can't remember. No, he doesn't have a collar. Okay, I'm just looking at my little model there. He does not have a collar. Let's have one arm just kind of hanging off down there. I think that's better. That doesn't look right. This is the thing about not having a tighter sketch. You just kind of have to guess as you go along how to make the drawing work. Could actually have him. No, I think the natural way to hold a dog is definitely under the arm. So let's get this one paw out here. And have Tintin holding him there. Could actually do something like this. I could have one of his fingers come over like that, and the other one under. That might work. Maybe have some shadow. Do I want to have a shadow here to separate the two of them? I don't know. Don't want to get into that kind of territory now where I'm knocking in big areas of black. These are decisions we have to make. You love this brush. Yeah, it's a great brush. I'm proud of it and I use it all the time. You struggle with stiff poses, as do I, which is why I do a really rough sketch, and then when I draw over it, I'm not doing so much tracing as I am like just trying to get a good line of action for each line, a good, yeah, a line that has some oomph to it. Just looking at this now, it's a little thin. So, just gonna beef that up just a bit. There we go. And I'm going to get that paw to come up and down like that. I think that's going to be more natural, and the other one down and out. Okay. Now turn our attention to this explosion and just go for it. This is like, you know, comic book explosion, obviously. Not going to try and do something realistic there. Actually, we could do a few little lines like this. And in between, actually, let's follow the direction of these to. I want to make sure that everything, if I were to like start from this point, if I'm radiating this way, make sure that stuff tends to sort of move in the same direction as the lines that are, so these should actually be more like following along with this. That makes sense. I'll hide the sketch here and see how we're looking. Not happy with that mouth right now. I feel like it needs to come over this way more. Up and down and over. Sometimes I gotta slow down, stop trying to do everything so fast, and get those shapes better. Yeah, much better. Also, I know it was the first thing I drew, but I kind of want to push that nose out just a hair. I like the position of the nose now. I don't like what I'm doing with that eye over there, so let me see what I can do to sort of fix that. I think this should come over. All right. Yeah. All right, you can do that classic move of flipping your canvas, you know? Flip it and see where things are awful. And if things look decent, then okay. What are your settings to make those clean lines? Daniel is asking. Yeah, that's I've got some smoothing of 9%. enable, but I also tend to draw the lines fairly quickly, you know, not rather than really slowly. I try and just sort of nail it, you know, get that curve the way I want. If you slow down too much, you know, your hand tends to sort of jiggle around. But again, the smoothing does help with that for sure. No doubt. Get the sometimes I want to put seams in pants. I don't know why that helps, but just a detail thing. But this looks okay. That actually from this angle, I do think the eye is, this eye here is a little high. Probably get tucked behind that nose even more than it is. Might just see a tiny bit of it peeking out like that. I think that's a little better. And now for the mouth, I'm still wanting to like bring it down here a bit. Let's flip it back. You'll notice I set up some actions here for myself, and that just makes it easier for me to flip stuff really fast. You can do that, or I mean, you can always just go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. I like to just use these two little actions here. And my actions are set up in button mode, which is how they look right here, where you can see little buttons, as opposed to like the standard list you see with folders and whatnot. I like to use just a few actions, as you can see, really just 2 of them at this point. And so for that, I just keep it simple with button mode. You can do that here. You can come over here and say button mode or no button mode. But some folks don't know about that, so I'd like to point that out. Let's clean up Snowy's silhouette there. I just want to clean that up. There. Okay, so now I'll rotate my canvas. Just hold down the hold down the R key to do that. If you hold down R, you can rotate your canvas. Oops, I keep doing something wrong here. Hang on. There we go. Ah, what am I doing? Something's glitching here. I wonder if it's a bug. So normally I just rotate. Yeah, okay, whatever. That was weird. Just help me to draw those lines like that. If you hold down the Shift key, you can rotate more in a precision mode where you just go in increments of 15 degrees. Never hurts to have a few like little lines that show that your characters are surprised by something. Those snowy ones didn't work out though. Hang on a minute. Yeah, close enough. Okay. There he goes. Happy birthday to Tintin. One of my favorite. Nah, he's probably my favorite. I think he's my favorite. Boom. I don't think he's one of my favorites. I think he is the favorite. I've been reading his books since I was 6 years old. And I read them literally every year. Every year of my life. There's never been a year that's gone by where I haven't read nearly all of them. because I just love them so much. And just for fun, you know, if you wanted to get fancy, you know what you could do? You could do something like this. I made a new layer to do this, but you could like go ahead and throw this whole area into shadow. You know, from that bomb blast, you pretend there's like another source of light here on the right, so you can still get some of Tintin's face there illuminated, but that could be kind of a fun thing to do here. I always like to try stuff like this to see if I can pull it off. But, you know, I do it on a separate layer in case I can't pull it off. So, let's see. I don't know. It could be a total disaster, but that's why we work in layers. That's why we do this kind of stuff. See what's possible. You know, it might wind up looking kind of cool in some parts. There's probably a lot of stuff here that won't work. Oops. But you don't know until you try, right? As Christoph Niemann once said to me very wisely, digital art takes the analog process. It makes it infinitely more flexible, as well as reversible. I thought that was a really interesting way of sort of really just kind of summarizing the benefits of digital art. Because that's really true, isn't it? Reversible. You can make decisions, change your mind, and on and on and on and on. You can do it over and over again. This may be the only problem is you don't know when to stop, right? You just don't know when am I done with this thing? So yeah, there's that problem, but yeah, I kind of like that. That's kind of cool too. I don't know. Any comments? Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not seeing anybody preferring one or the other, so I don't know what to stick with. Could be this, could be that, could be this, could be that. Obviously, this is a little more dramatic. My logic falls apart all over the place in terms of like where exactly the shadows would be. But you know, it's drawing like this. You don't have to be totally beholden to that kind of reason, right? You really just kind of try and make shapes that look good and that help everything read. So I think that's really more my goal than anything here. So if you can understand what you're looking at, then mission accomplished. Simple as that. You like both, but the one without shadows is more Tintin. Well, I suppose it's more Tintin if you think of Tintin as being just the way Hergé drew him. One thing I like about characters like this is you can sort of, it's fun to experiment with stylistic approaches that look nothing like the original source material. And so I would argue that you could maybe have more fun by trying to stray from what you're familiar with these kinds of characters, you know? What do you think about that idea? How's that sit with you? Let me know. And here, you know, just do the same thing I did with Tintin, right? Just do that kind of like that edge like that. I don't know. I don't know. I can't decide. I kind of like both for different reasons. Someone says, love the shadowing, Sherry. Thank you. Yeah, shadows make it more dramatic. Yeah. Oh boy, what do we do? What do we do? I'll leave it like this for now. But that's a great thing, you know, we've got layers, so we could always just do that. Bye-bye. One thing I do think we should do is make that ear more noticeable there, so I'll just do that. It's one of those instances, again, where I'm saying, like, you don't have to follow the logic of where the shadows would fall exactly if you're just trying to add some drama, you know? I think I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for hanging out and watching. And oops, got a little chunky there on my signature. Pew. Happy birthday, Tintin. And everybody, take care, and I'll see you next time. Maybe draw some Tintin today. Yesterday was the birthday, but you know, I'm a little late to the game here. That's okay. Remember to find me on Twitter at Kyle T. Webster. And Wednesdays and Thursdays, you can watch my draw along show at behance.net/live, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And my illustration masterclass is on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Same place, Behance. You can catch them on YouTube as well. But I monitor the chat on Behance for those days. Okay? All right. Thanks again. Take care.